Dragged Across Concrete. What a fantastic title for a movie, right? This originally was a 2018 film written and directed by S. Craig Zahler. It made appearances at film festivals, things like that, and now in 2019 it is getting a very limited theatrical release, select cinemas throughout the US. It is currently available on demand, and in a few weeks will be available to own on DVD and Blu-ray. Now, the reason for this limited theatrical release, Mr. Zahler was told, you can get a big theatrical release, but you're going to have to cut the runtime of this film down, because this film is approximately 2 hours and 40 minutes, I would say, and he was told you're going to have to cut this down significantly and we'll give you a big theatrical release. And he told him, no, I'm not going to cut anything out. This is my movie. I've got it the way I want it. So big round of applause to S. Craig Zahler for sticking to his guns and saying, I'm going to release the movie that I want released. So the film stars Mel freaking Gibson. I know a lot of people out there are not fans of Mr. Gibson. I understand they have their reasons. I'm a massive fan of Mel Gibson. He is top 3 in my all-time favorite actors. I'm not here to debate Mel Gibson, why you should or shouldn't like him. We're not going to do any of that right now. So if you don't like Mel Gibson, just quit watching the video. This is a pro Mel Gibson fan right here. Stars Mel Gibson, and it also stars Vince Vaughn, and they had previously worked together in Hacksaw Ridge, film that Mel Gibson directed. If you haven't seen that, check that one out. Now, I personally have been anxiously awaiting the release of this film ever since it was announced because, number one, you know, it's got Mel Gibson. Number two, S. Craig Zahler. I loved his film Bone Tomahawk. Another great title, right? That starred Kurt Russell. I think you also need to check that one out. Great film. But having Mel Gibson and then learning about the plot of this movie, that is what has really intrigued me. And if you don't know the plot, essentially you have 2 cops, Mel Gibson and Vince Vaughn. Mel is the older, you know, more experienced veteran cop. Vince Vaughn, probably, you know, about 20 years younger cop, and they're partners. And they get caught, thanks to a cell phone camera, they get caught during a drug bust of being a little too rough. So naturally, they get suspended for a significant amount of time and without pay. And based on their current living condition and their financial situation and, you know, a number of other factors, these guys need money. And they figure out the best way to do that. They use a contact of Mel Gibson's. This guy is kind of a criminal underlord contact. And Mel obtains some information from him. And they go stalk this group of guys who essentially are going to rob a bank. And they plan on getting the money from the bank robbers. But not everything goes according to plan. And that's all I'm going to say because I don't want to spoil the movie. Now, with all of that being discussed, is this film great? Guys, I think this movie is awesome for a variety of reasons. The main thing, you have really believable characters. And I'm talking a variety of characters. There's a lot of stars and names in this movie. As I said, you know, you got Mel Gibson, Vince Vaughn, Tori Kittles is also in this, Michael J. White, Jennifer Carpenter. I mean, and it's all of these different characters coming in at different angles, but they all end up connecting. The paths all cross due to the events of this story. Now, I'll be honest, this movie, it's not for everybody. This is a very slow pace, slow burn, slow building film. It is not for those that, we gotta have instant gratification. I need everything to happen right now. I can't wait, give it to me, give it to me, give it now. No, it's not one of those. It takes its time, and it builds, and it builds, and it builds. I think it's totally worth it, as I said, because of the characters. You have a fantastic story with characters that are totally believable. You got a lot of good humor. You got some real intense dialogue and situations. And a lot of people, I think they thought this was going to be an action movie going into it. It is definitely not an action movie. Having said that, there are some scenes where the shooting and the fighting takes place, and I'm just telling you, it's strong violence. It's brutal. It's not for the faint of heart, okay? And I would also caution those of you that are real sensitive to politically incorrect material, you're probably not gonna like this movie because it's not politically correct. And I know there was this big uproar with a lot of critics in the media saying, well, this movie is totally made for the far right wing, alternate right, make America great again supporters. And I just don't see that. I think that's a bunch of crap. This movie is made for people who like thrillers, cop movies, and a really good story with really good characters. Excellent direction. And to say that it's made for Trump fans, I think those people need to go back and rewatch the movie. I'm not going to give anything away, but it's not a hardcore conservative fantasy land or anything like that. So I'm not sure why those people are thinking that. Okay, so if I'm going to rate this movie, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. This is definitely 2 thumbs way up. I highly enjoyed this film. I definitely recommend it. But at the same time, I'm also saying this just isn't for everybody. And one final thing I want to bring up is the trailer. You know, how this film was advertised. I personally don't feel like it did the film justice. It kind of gives it a weird feeling, a weird vibe. And I know I'm not the only one to think that. Other people I've talked to or, comments I've read on the advertisements for this film, it kind of paints a little different picture than what the film actually is. So don't let that be your verdict as to whether you watch this film or not, because I don't feel like it's an accurate representation of what this movie really is about. In conclusion, guys, I want to thank you all for watching this. If you do like this video, please give me a like. That always helps me. And if you have not subscribed, if you like this content, I would love having your support. That helps me out. So click that subscribe button. And thanks to all that have subscribed. Leave me some comments. Let me know your thoughts. And we'll see you next time.